we think Lamar's going, and where do we think Rodgers is going? You go first, Alan.
I don't see Baltimore letting him get away. To be honest with you, they're going to franchise him, and then they're going to figure out a way to sign him. Um, he would be a great acquisition for a lot of teams out there, and there's a few teams I could think of that could actually give up a couple of things. San Francisco would be a great spot for him. They could get Garoppolo and Trey in a trade. They'd have two quarterbacks, and maybe a future first round pick or something like that. And then think about what he could do for that team, just like Colin Kaepernick did. You know, um, yeah, I think that he would fit better with a lot of other teams. I think that the Ravens have proven that he's not a priority when he should be a priority.
True.
And I'm not saying that he did the smartest thing by not signing something, or at least sitting down at the table and a little longer before the season started or whatever. But I
Isn't
mean, the
he his
kid
own
has
agent
proven
too?
himself. Yeah, well, I think he is. Him and his mom are doing we're doing the negotiations,
Yeah,
is
he
what I
doesn't
remember
have an
reading.
agent.
Yeah. And so, he that might have been a big mistake for him. I don't know, but I don't see Baltimore letting him get away. That would really be. I don't think that they could come back from that immediately, if they let him get away. As
Well,
far as Aaron Rodgers goes, I'll be honest with you guys. I personally myself, I think the best fit for him would be to stay in Green Bay and then them spend some money and bring some tools, bring some players to the table for him. But I honestly think that he's gonna either request a trade, he's gonna opt out of that contract, and he's gonna sign someplace else because he's just done with them. And I think that Green Bay is probably feeling the same way. They're gonna just they should probably just let him walk, or
They
whatever
keep
it is he's
begging
gonna
for him to
do.
come
Go,
back.
yeah, and because they've already proven that by drafting that kid 3 years ago, and then letting him do something stupid like take all that money so they couldn't sign Devontae. I mean, it's just been a bad fit the last 3 years for them. So I see him someplace else. If he went to the Jets, I wouldn't be disappointed. I'm still going to be a Packer fan, and I think that every team goes through a rebuild, and we're just going to have to rebuild.
And one last person, Derek Carr. I forgot about him.
Oh, and Derek Carr, I I think he would be a good fit in a lot of places too. I could see him someplace like Indianapolis, and fitting in and being a really good, a really good fit for them. One of the things that we've talked about, I talked with Amos a little bit, and and Ian and I have talked about it. Him going back to Texas would be incredible. He could write the legacy that his brother left there.
What about you, Ephraim? What you think?
well, I Ellen, the Lamar one. I think Baltimore's done with Lamar. All the injuries and staying out. This sort. I know he's looking out for himself, uh, but I would see him. I would see Lamar. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you. I can see Lamar in a Seahawks jersey next year. I might sound about those trades. Baltimore would love those picks. So that's what I can see Lamar at. Aaron, I'll see him in Vegas. Vegas is the best. I think that's the best fit for him. Not the Jets. Um, him, Devontae back together, and them trying to not rebuild. Well, remember sometimes he can put up points with them, and he'll have a he'll have a run game with Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs will gladly resign if he sees Aaron Rodgers there. And he said it before. He gets excited when they talk about Aaron Rodgers going to Las Vegas. And Derek Carr, I see him going to the Jets. I see him taking them to the playoffs. That becomes a playoff team as soon that division becomes very competitive in the AFC East with the Jets, the Patriots, the Dolphins, and the Bills, and that division becomes an up for grabs because that defense in New York with the Jets is no joke.
What about you, Amos? What you think?
So I do think the Lamar Jackson one is so interesting because I can see both sides. I have so much confidence in the Ravens ownership. And if we talk about the Cowboys ownership, if we talk about the Raiders ownership, I think it's completely different with the Ravens ownership. They just seem like they always do it the right way. They always draft the right way. They don't really overpay for contracts. And to that point, it's kind of why I think they've been battling with Lamar so much. And so I really do want to say they step it up and finally commit to a contract. But if they don't, I'm going to go ahead and predict a team out in the NFC South, and I'm going to go ahead and predict the Panthers trade for him. I think the Panthers are in a situation where they have a lot of draft picks. They have the number 9 pick right now. The Panthers have had such bad QB play the last few years, since prime Cam Newton, really. And the problem with the Panthers right now is being at number 9, you're not getting the top 3 QBs. And it's actually why a lot of people have them taking Richardson, kind of reaching for Richardson. And so you're not getting one of the top best premier guys at number 9. As far as the free agent route, again, Lamar Jackson, you'd have to trade for him essentially because the Ravens are going to franchise tag him. Geno Smith, rumors are, if theoretically he were to move on, the Seahawks could even franchise tag him. Okay, so the best QBs, you technically have to trade for them if that's the case. And so, other than Aaron Rodgers, who I don't really see as a fit in Carolina, Carolina could be left without a dance partner basically. And so I could see them honestly making a move for Lamar Jackson and doing something, like I said, trading for like a premier franchise defensive guy like Brian Burns, who's really nice, whose pressure rate is outstanding. And now all of a sudden, if you're the Ravens, you get a Brian Burns as well as the number 9 pick, as well as probably more picks, I would assume. So that would be my prediction for Lamar Jackson. But we'll see. It's a bold prediction.
Did you where did you say Derek Carr was going?
Okay, and Derek Carr, that's a good one. So Derek Carr, that's a really good one. I haven't heard too much about Derek Carr and his situation.
So he just got bought out, or he just they just
Released.
released him.
They just
Right.
released him and let him go.
Honestly, I'm gonna do another bold prediction with Carr. I'm gonna go ahead and say the Atlanta Falcons, and I think it's kind of a similar situation with the Panthers. The Falcons have number 8. Okay, they're not gonna be a player for any of the elite QBs unless you're wanting to give up picks. All right, and so now you're left with not getting a top 3 QB. Well, if you're the Falcons, you want to get better. If you're the Falcons, and you have the potential to get someone like Carr who can get hot, and if you give him weapons, they have a really good tight end. They drafted Drake London, so maybe I could see the Falcons as being a sleeper for Carr. I know it's not going to be a popular choice, but I'll go ahead and say the Falcons.
And then what did you say for
Okay.
Rodgers?
Rodgers.
Rodgers, yeah, I know. I'd agree with you guys. I think the tea leaves are reading the Raiders. But if not the Raiders, I'm going to go ahead and hit you guys with a nice little Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who have a lot of talent, who are kind of in a situation where they have a late first round pick because they made the playoffs, and they're not going to really be a player in free agency as far as trading wise for Lamar Jackson per se, and they're not going to be able to get a top QB from the draft. So, you know what? I'll go ahead and predict the Buccaneers for Aaron Rodgers if he doesn't go to Vegas, because I just think the Buccaneers have the better team than Vegas at the moment.
You think he really? Because I mean, I've heard that the reason why he doesn't want to retire is because he doesn't want to be retiring the same year as Brady. You think he really goes to Brady's team?
I hear you. I think it'd be different if it was like a New England Patriot thing. I think he wouldn't, you know what I'm saying? I think it'd be a situation where he'd look at it like, man, I was my franchise's guy. You can't be better than Brady with the New England Patriots, right? You guys know how that is. But I think Tampa Bay, I think it was more of like more of like a business stop with Brady, and specifically with Brady. And yeah, he did win one. So, and that's kind of to your point, he did win one. legacy per se with them, like he would with the Patriots, for example. So I could still see him committing to Tampa Bay.
Okay. Well,
I like that. I actually like that. I was thinking that a couple of nights ago. I was like, man, Tampa Bay would be a perfect place for him to go.
yeah.
Right.
Well,
They've got all the pieces on the offensive side that that he's really never had.
Right.
They got 1, 2, 3 receivers. They got an offensive line. They've got a running game. I mean, he would have it all. And then, if they could put the defense together, I could see him taking that team to a Super Bowl just like Brady did.
true.
Right.
Well,
What about you, KJ?
For me, I got one, and I thought one of you guys would have said it, so that's why I was kind of nervous going last. But I can see Lamar Jackson going to the team that beat Green Bay. I can see him going and being a Detroit Lion. I've heard a lot of things about. They got their good running core. They have a high powered offense. I mean, they put up what? Didn't they have the most points throughout the last half of the season? They were averaging the most points
Yeah,
in
I
the league.
think after the 6th week, they were the highest scoring team in the league.
I can
Yes,
see.
but
What were you
I
saying?
believe Jared Goff.
Yeah, but his thing runs up in what? I think it goes through 2024, and you could use him
Yeah,
as
I
a
think
trade piece to get Lamar.
Yeah.
I mean, Jared
No,
Goff is
no.
What
great.
do you think you'd have to give up more than just Goff, though,
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
right?
of course.
And time out. Sorry, guys, but yeah, you wouldn't trade Jared Goff as a trade piece because you're talking about literally you're basically asking for that team to take on a hefty 20. You'd basically be asking them to take up almost a lot of money. I'm not going to speculate on the money,
How
but
much
that's a
does
lot of
Jared Goff
money.
make?
Do you have over?
I think he is like at 22, 23, something like
Yeah.
that.
Look at over the cap. If you could be over the cap, that would be your best bet, KJ, to look at his contract. It's really high. It's a really high contract. Basically, what if you're the Lions, you could
4
actually
years,
wait.
134.
If you wait until April 1st, after April 1st, it goes down a little bit, and so the Lions could theoretically cut him, and that's what people have speculated. But I still wouldn't. Jared Goff played really well this season. He was kind of why the Lions off. I mean, Lions offense have some good pieces, but he played pretty dang good.
Yeah,
And
he
so
But it's kind of like the same situation with you. I mean, I know
No,
Geno
for
Smith
sure.
is older, but it's the same situation. Do you keep him and he asks for more money in 2024, and you don't want to give it to him?
I just don't see Golf as getting that even fatter contract, per se. Now maybe he does, but I mean, I think that's a decent point. It's a good point, but I just think Golf. You kind of got to go with Golf, basically. He
Yeah.
played pretty dang well. I will say the one thing you do have going to your point, though, the Lions have 2 first-round picks, so they have the ammo, right? They have the ammo to go get a Lamar Jackson per se. But if they did, I think they would end up probably cutting Golf. I don't think if you're the Ravens, you don't want to. Yes, I get that you would say, oh, you'd have a QB, but to me, they'd probably think, oh, you get the cap space, right? They'd probably rather have the cap space and go with Huntley. I would think if you're the Ravens, on more cap space
Well,
with
I mean,
Golf.
That's a great prediction, though, KJ. Man, I that came out of nowhere. I thought you were going to say the Saints. Is what I thought you were going to say.
Oh no, the Saints are a dumpster fire. They're going to be stuck with Jameis Winston and Andy Dalton next year. But no, I believe that because I mean, the Ravens they almost beat the Bengals without Lamar Jackson, and I believe that Jared Goff is a better quarterback than Huntley. Huntley may fit their system better because he plays exactly like Lamar Jackson, just not as good. But I feel like Jared Goff could still get them to the playoffs for a year, and then after that, you don't have to sign
They
him.
won a Super Bowl with who?
Huh?
With
Who did they win a Super Bowl with?
Trent Dilfer, who wasn't very good. Right.
No.
Right.
The second one. Who'd they win the second one with?
Oh, Joe Flacco. Yeah, Joe Flacco.
Oh,
Yeah.
Joe Flacco.
Yeah, Flacco. And Goff is probably better than Flacco when
Yeah,
he
but
was
that
in
defense
his
ain't better.
prime.
That defense ain't better.
No, that's true. That's true. The defense is better, but God, I can see what you're saying. Goff would be a nice little piece for that team because one thing that Harbaugh is going to do is he's going to put that team together to play for that particular quarterback, just like he did with Lamar Jackson.
True.
Can I just jump in? Let me just jump in. No, you're absolutely right, KJ. Jared Goff is better than Huntley, no question. So then I guess I would ask you guys then. The question then comes down to even though I'm not a believer in them taking on Jared Goff's contract, he is better. So my question is, would you is taking on golf worth the extra, let's just say, $15 million that you could save with having Huntley as your QB?
I believe that it is for the 1 year, and then and then with those 2 first-round picks that you could possibly get off of Detroit, you could draft a quarterback and then have him sit a year underneath Jared Goff, and then see where you go from there when it comes contract time. Kind of like Trey Lance and Garoppolo.
That's fair. I mean, I still wouldn't necessarily do it, but that's fair. That's definitely a fair take for sure.
And the thing about it too, though, Amos, though, you got to think about this. I think that the hit that Goff would even be less than Lamar as a franchise tag, because isn't it like 26 mil? And I think he's under 25.
Right, but we're talking about an MVP candidate with a guy who basically had a career year last year, right? So that, I mean,
Yeah.
But also, I don't think the Lions want to give up those first round picks because I think they're going to try to bulk up their defense more this year.
Right, because
and Goff was a first round. He was a number 1 pick too, though. You're forgetting that he was the number 1 pick by.
Number 1 pick. But Efren, don't you agree that the Lions, don't you think they have enough talent on offense with golf to where, like you said, they have 2 first-round picks? They can get 2 prime guys with those 2 first-round picks. Heck, even second round, right? Your second-round pick, that's a top 5-6 pick, right? Second round, so you're almost arguing 3 first-round picks, right?
So that's why I just can't see Lamar going to Detroit. I don't think they're going to give up on Goff like that. I think Goff proved it last year that he can get it done. I know, and it was just their defense was not capable of stopping teams sometimes. So that's why I think they're going to use those first round picks to bulk up their defense a lot more.
How many points didn't they put up? Like 50 points? The Seahawks put 40, 50 points on them too.
Every team mostly like that. The Eagles put up 33. The Seahawks put up 37 or 38.
47.
The Cowboys put up
40 something.
They kept putting up. Their defense just couldn't stop nobody, and it was making it hard for Detroit's offense to keep up. Because all they had to do was stop them 1 or 2 times, or if the offense would start off late, it would ruin them for them. That's what I'm saying. So I think that Detroit's going to use that for defense. So,
what were you going to say, Amos?
And I would agree with that. Go ahead, Amos.
Yep. No. So I think so too, Efren. I think we're all on the same page. I was just going to say, I think we've had really good football talk. Do we want to segue into college basketball, or do we want to maybe save that for the podcast because it's been such a long football talk?
Yeah, we have been on for about an hour, and
I haven't done Rodgers or Carr yet.
Okay, that's right. You haven't. Yeah.
Go ahead.
If I'm going Rodgers, I think his best bet. I think he's going to the Jets. I personally did not want him on the Raiders. Now I really don't care because, I mean, he does have that connection with Devontae, and he's a pretty good quarterback. But, I mean, he's the only time he won a Super Bowl was with a top 10 defense, and we definitely don't have a top 10 defense, so it's a waste. We might as well just get a rookie with our 7th pick. And, I mean, I know we only have 1 quarterback under contract right now, and he's like a 5th string or whatever. But I say we sign Jimmy for like a year or 2. I don't know if he goes for that, but we find someone to fill in for now and get a quarterback this year, or just use that rookie straight out. I mean, he'll be a 7th pick. And then for Derek Carr, I think he ends up in Carolina. I think they get him. I think the Saints don't get nobody. Atlanta doesn't get anybody. I think the team I'm really worried about is Miami, because what do they do if Tua just retires? Because I think that Derek Carr would fit in Miami as well, but it depends on Tua's health. Is he going to retire because of all his concussions, or is he going to give it another go?
You think that's an option in his mind, though?
Tua, yeah. Shit, 3 concussions in 7 games?
Bro, Ryan Clark played for 2 whole seasons in Denver and lost his freaking bladder. Bladder because of it. You're telling me that these guys, that kid Hamlin in Buffalo is talking about coming back and playing after nearly losing his life.
That was a cardiac arrest. This is like what happened with DeMarcus. What was his name? What was his name?
So one thing I'm gonna tell you right now, KJ, is Tua. I feel like so much of a fighter that he don't want to give up on his team. And
I
that's
mean, but
bad
you
to
can't give
say.
up on your health. I mean, look, what was the
I
dude's name
understand,
from the
but
Broncos that
look
just
at look
died?
what he
He
did.
died in the
Look what
shower
he.
and had
I
CTE.
know, but look what he did. He didn't tell the team about his his symptoms to the next day after after the game was over. You understand? How do you know he's not going to do that again? You know, that's another big topic that a lot of people got to talk about.
Yeah,
But
it actually is.
same time,
It
at the
actually
same time, you know, you got to remember a lot of these guys come from not having anything. That's why they keep playing the game, and that's why they have
True.
injuries. But
and KJ, one thing you got to remember is that that whole CTE thing is it goes way back to the '60s, bro. There were more guys that lost their lives
Well,
to
yeah,
that
I know that.
in the '60s, '70s, and the '80s that have lost their life to it, in the last 25 years.
But in the last
Okay.
25 years, there's more coverage, and it's a lot more like they got movies and they're
I
doing
understand that, and
stuff
I understand
like
they have
after
movies and everything.
practice.
But they don't. A lot of these people don't know the role of the player. Like even us
Yeah,
outside looking in, we don't know what they're actually going through. We don't live their everyday lives. You understand? That's what a lot of people got to know. Like I understand their health. Hey, I'm so concerned about their health. You know, people get hit. You know, people like you said, the Hamlin guy.
yeah.
After a scare like that, I think anybody else quits. But look at him. Oh, I'm gonna come back. I'm ready. I'm ready to come up. Dang, you're like, oh, dang, it's crazy. But that's the whole different
But that
topic.
fame, that fame and fortune is hard to walk away from, guys. And I
True.
think
What were you
in
gonna
in
say about it,
Tua's
Amos?
case,
Oh, sorry. Go
Oh
ahead.
no, I wasn't gonna say anything. I think I was probably just. I agree. No, I agree for the most part. I think. Okay. Earlier, I think what I was gonna say is I think who I think would be a decent fit with the Miami Dolphins is someone like a Jacoby Brissett.
Oh, Jacoby
Someone who's
Brissett.
not Jacoby
Kobe
Brissett. He's not going to
said that.
cost you a lot of money. What's up? No, yeah, he's not going to cost you a lot of money, right? He's a guy who can start you a game or two, 3 or 4, and I just think someone like his level of talent would probably be perfect because you realistically know Tua will probably miss you a few games here or there, and so you obviously don't want to sign someone like Carr who's going to cost a decent money, right? And then now you have a QB controversy with someone like that, whereas a Brissett, yeah, he's going to be a good backup for you,
Is he a free
and
agent?
I think he is. I don't quote me. I'm pretty sure he is though.